While more than a dozen nations are about to announce recognition of a Palestinian state at the UN, Israel approves plans on the ground that would stop a Palestinian state from becoming a reality. Meanwhile, yesterday, Israeli officials sent their condolences and condemned the assassination of Charlie Kirk as the Jewish state continues to defend and fight its own war against terrorism and remember 9/11 and October 7th. Here's the latest on all these and other stories.
In a post on X, Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu said Charlie Kirk was murdered for speaking truth and defending freedom. A lion-hearted friend of Israel, he fought the lies and stood tall for Judeo-Christian civilization. I spoke to him only 2 weeks ago and invited him to Israel. Sadly, that visit will not take place. We lost an incredible human being. As Israel continues to take criticism for its targeted attack on Hamas leaders gathered in Qatar, on the eve of the worst attack ever on American soil, Netanyahu on Wednesday compared America's response after 9/11 to Israel's October 7th reaction.
What did America do in the wake of September 11th? It promised to hunt down the terrorists who committed this heinous crime wherever they may be. And it also passed a resolution in the Security Council of the UN 2 weeks later that said governments cannot give harbor to terrorists.
Netanyahu said Israel's strike in Qatar followed that resolution.
We acted along those lines. We went after the terrorist masterminds who committed the October 7th massacre. And we did so in Qatar, which gives safe haven. It harbors terrorists. It finances Hamas. It gives its terrorist chieftains sumptuous villas. It gives them everything.
He said Israel did what America did when it killed al-Qaeda terrorists in Afghanistan and Osama bin Laden in Pakistan. And yet, various countries are condemning Israel.
What did they do after America took out Osama bin Laden? Did they say, oh, what a terrible thing was done to Afghanistan or to Pakistan? No, they applauded. They should applaud Israel for standing and up to these same principles and carrying them out. And I say to Qatar and all nations who harbor terrorists, you either expel them or you bring them to justice. Because if you don't, we will.
National security expert Dr. Eyal Pinko of the Besa Center says even though Qatar is publicly condemning the attack, it's benefiting from the killing of Hamas leaders who were under the control of Iran.
Qatar really wants to have a ceasefire because of Trump administration pressure. So now it's amazing time. You can take out all Hamas leadership. This probably will accelerate the ceasefire agreement and bringing back the hostages. And they can replace immediately the Hamas leadership that will be 100% under their control without Iranian involvement.
Meanwhile, the IDF struck military targets in Yemen belonging to the Houthi regime in response to recent missile and UAV attacks launched against Israel. And in Gaza, the IDF continues to warn civilians to leave Gaza City by recorded messages, text messages, and leaflets, giving directions and including a phone number to call if Hamas is blocking their exit. Julie Stahl, CBN News, Jerusalem.
Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu signed an agreement Thursday to build a large number of housing units just outside of Jerusalem. The move, he says, and many believe, would effectively prevent the establishment of a Palestinian state.
This is a huge change, and we know there's another change here, or precisely another fulfillment of promise, not a biblical one, but a present one. We said that a Palestinian state will not be established, and indeed, a Palestinian state will not be established.
At the 9/11 memorial in Israel, hundreds gathered to remember those who died in the 9/11 attacks 24 years ago.
Is important for several reasons. The first one is that it's the only memorial outside of the United States that lists every single victim from that horrible day. And it also represents the strong bond between the United States and Israel.
Zaluda sees a profound connection between 9/11 and October 7th.
You know, in the United States, it's just because we were a Western country. In Israel, frankly, it's because we're Israel and we're Jews. The number of people that were killed on those days was horrific in both instances.
U.S. Ambassador to Israel Mike Huckabee came to address the gathering and remember 9/11.
We never should forget what happened to America on 9/11. As surely as Israel will never forget October the 7th of the Holocaust, this was an attack on the United States, its sovereignty, its security. It was a shock to us.
Huckabee also remembered Charlie Kirk.
One of the most brilliant young men I've ever known in my life. Gentle, kind. Why anyone would want to kill Charlie Kirk just shows a level of evil that makes no sense. He was not an angry man. He was not a hateful man.
And Huckabee believes America needs a spiritual revival.
America's got to turn to the Lord. Our only hope is a spiritual renewal and revival. Because what happened to him was not just a political calculation. It was an act of demonic evil. And all we really have to hope for is that there is a spiritual renewal in our country that will awaken people to once again treat each other with respect. That doesn't come from somebody from the outside in. It comes from the inside out. It's a soul issue. It's not a political issue.